Welcome back to Civilization 4 Beyond the Sword, playing as Hammurabi of the Sumerians. I've made some changes since the last video. I decided I really wanted to switch back to the way I played it in the past. I played a couple of games with the vanilla graphical settings, but now I've installed two mods that don't affect the gameplay in any way. So this is still vanilla Civ 4, but with a better user interface and with better graphics. So first, on the graphical side, all of the tiles look better than they did before. This is from the blue marble tile set, which was created using high-resolution satellite imagery from NASA. So these tiles are much more detailed. You know, if you zoom in enough, you can see them get kind of blurry. But we have much better detailed tiles. The rivers look nicer. They look more organic. The forests look better. The water in the ocean is darker. Just in general, I think the blue marble tile set is much more pleasant to look at. There are some other mods that also significantly change the way the units look. You know, these are very different because they're unique units, the vultures, but I believe these are the standard unit types. But I might be wrong. It's been so long since I've played the game completely vanilla that I'm not sure what the units look like anymore. So the other thing that I installed is the bug user interface mod. So you see up here at the top we have how much more experience I need to get a great general. I have 29 out of 30, and there's one more point before I get a great general. Great generals are very useful. I don't think I get great general points from fighting barbarians, so I'll have to wait until the beginning of my next war with a player. Notice that now it has the empires listed over here by the country, not by the name of the ruler, which is a lot more convenient when you're playing with unrestricted leaders, because different parts of the game will refer to the leader and to the nation, and it can get easily very confusing. You'll also notice that this area over here is much more informative than it was in the past. In addition to the score, it also shows the amount that the score has changed since last turn, so it allows you to keep track of who's doing better or worse. It shows their religion, it shows their general mood towards the player, a comparison of military strength. This is not extra information. All of this information was accessible in other places. So you could have gone into the score graph and found the military comparison between the players over time in the game. But it makes more sense to have it easily displayed here. It'll also show who's willing to sign open borders, who's willing to trade what techs. Just this information in the log is significantly more convenient. It doesn't have it from the past because I didn't have the mod installed, but it's much more fun to play the game this way because it involves less digging. Like in the last video, I had to go through and look at each player to see if anyone would be willing to trade me priesthood, but now that's no longer necessary. And I can see at a glance that I have a military superiority to all the AI that I know the power of. Now notably, it only shows it for a few of them, the ones that I have some espionage points on. So I don't get that information for everyone in the whole game. Instead of removing the Mongolians from the leaderboard, the scoreboard down here, it shows them as dead, which I think is a much better way to do it. Let's continue. My goal is to wipe out this barbarian city and settle a new city on either this tile or this tile. I also need to put a city here for the horses. So my goals are to expand a bit and put up some ziggurats in cities to start managing my maintenance, because my tech rate is going to drop once I run out of gold. And I spent a little bit of the gold to get this medic vulture. It's really convenient to have a medic unit that doesn't die if it gets caught out. So let's see how this goes. I've got some people who are willing to trade masonry. Okay, he has all of my stuff. Okay, the pyramids and the Great Lighthouse have been built. Let's change this, actually. There's a way to change it in the settings, the bug option screen, and it's scoreboard, display name, leader, and civ. So now I see both of them. There's a lot of things that you can change here, and none of these change the actual game. This also activates things like city planners. I can place down city fat crosses, and then I can activate or deactivate the view by pressing Control X. This is really useful for keeping track of where I want to put cities in the long run. For example, now that I'm looking, I might actually want to put a city on this tile. It gets fresh water from the oasis, it has access to multiple good farm territories, and it gives me iron. But this over here is a superior source of iron. So I'm probably just going to stick to this. I'll get rid of that view. And I'll start bringing in this vulture here. The scout will continue to go looking. Let's see, how many tries is this? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it can get there in one turn, even if I don't finish this road. So instead, I'm going to start roading this iron tile. Because I need to put a road underneath it anyway.
The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace.
Where's my nearest worker? Okay. I do need more workers. The granary is finished here. Code of Laws is generally a good technology. I doubt I'll be the first one to get it, which would give me a religion. If I am, that's pretty handy. It'll give me more culture and happiness in my cities. So I'm going to go for it, but I doubt that I'm going to get it. It is, of course, possible for me to do the Oracle in my capital, which has good production, and I can chop out a little more. So this is definitely a strong play here, is to use the Oracle. I'll make a ziggurat here. I want the Oracle for metal casting, but if this was the plan, I should have done that earlier. But I can Oracle out Code of Laws maybe, or I can get Code of Laws manually. I'm gonna do that. I'm going to stick to a simple play. Early Oracle is a strong plan, but this is not really early enough for it to be a super advantageous play, because my early game strategy was war instead of rapid development. So instead I'm going to make a ziggurat. That'll save me another half a gold per turn. It doesn't seem like a lot, but it actually starts adding up pretty quickly. Once my city grows again, though, I'm going to start working scientists in this city. Hopefully I can take this barbarian city without a lot of lost time. I'll build a pasture here. Where's that worker at? He's here. I don't need the iron right now. I'm doing perfectly fine. All of them are together. I'll put a ziggurat in this city as well. I'm going to start with a granary in this city. That's a typical first building. And with access to the cows and the iron, I don't need to whip citizens here. It won't grow super fast because it doesn't have access to extremely strong food resources. So lost population in this city is much harder to recover than lost population in this city or this city. And now that this city has popped and is growing, I want it to work more efficiently. Perhaps a library is a good play here, but it's going to have to be hammered out manually. I should probably chop that. So after the ziggurat is done, I'm going to make a worker in this city. I need more workers. I need a lot more workers. So I'm going to lose technologies here. Or science research anyway, because I'm going to run out of gold, and it will drop the rate of my gold production. Quite a lot, actually. I have to go all the way down to 20%, which is really horrible. The Code of Law is taking 67 turns is extremely slow. So it's very important that I get these ziggurats up as fast as I can. Because notice, this maintenance was 1.04 last turn, now it's 1.3. 2.6, 3.5, 4.4. These ziggurats will save me a lot of money in the long run. And they're pretty easy to whip out with only 2 population. But many of these cities can build them without a whip. So there's no reason to use a whip where it's not necessary. Granary finished up there. See, what are my odds of taking this city? 97.5% combat victory. Problem solved. And the city is gone. These two. I guess I'll go back over this way. Jungles tend to spawn near the center of the map. I don't have open borders with Darius. I'll go around for now. I'll scout it out a little bit more. I'm going to chop out this ziggurat. 3 more turns until its border pops. Maybe I won't chop out the ziggurat, actually. I'll just let it grow like this. I'll let it starve for a couple of turns, that's okay. Once it grows, it'll gain access to 2 very good food resources. So what I want to do with this worker. I want this worker to come over here and start on the iron. It's important to get this hooked up as quickly as possible. Okay, another barbarian city. And that means free unit experience. City attack. Build a pasture. This is a significantly better tile for my city to work. Do I already have cows? I do, so I don't need to build a road here. I'm going to use these 2 vultures to keep an eye on this barbarian city. I might be able to start beating my way in. I'm definitely going to use these to clear this one out. So many barbarian cities through here. It's quite exceptional. Okay, our financial situation is a little bit better now. And in the interest of technological development, I'll be switching this to working 2 scientists. This will not only make the city produce much more science, it will also create a great scientist in 17 turns, which is good. The great scientist will allow me to increase my science rate even more. And I can make yet another settler. This is really greedy, but I think I'm going to do this. And this city will be angry with me on the next turn. It has a +7 rate of growth. So let's get this ziggurat done a little faster here. Stagnant. It'll be done in 2 turns. Once the ziggurat is done, I'm going to switch into 2 scientists. No, I'm not going to make a worker here. I'm going to make a library. And I'll go back and change this and make a worker, because I do need more workers for this empire. And this will pop in only 1 turn, and then I'll be changing it to work these 2 tiles. I'm going to go ahead and whip the ziggurat so that these 2 tiles are the only 2 that need to be worked. And these other cities will produce their ziggurats shortly. Notice the mod informs me Karakoram can carry ziggurat for 1 citizen with 31 hammers of overflow and +1 in happiness for 10 turns. Right, so this helps me do my slavery math. You can do it manually, and I know how to do the math manually, but it's much more convenient to have it come up in the event log. Eridu is unhappy. It grew, and it's now overcrowded. It has basically exactly stagnant growth. I don't need to make any more troops, and I don't need to make any more buildings for some time, so I'm just going to stick with scientists in all of my major cities. I'll let this city shrink down a little bit. What I really need is a luxury of some kind. I'll have this city produce... I'll have it produce a spearman, I guess. It's going to take some time for it to finish. You know what, actually, I want this to be a production city. It'll chill out. It'll be happy later. It's not that big a deal. I'm going to produce a settler from this city. Okay. This one's maintenance went down significantly. The city will grow pretty fast, actually, but it really needs a library. And this is where I run into a small problem with the strategy that I'm using. I need more luxuries. So actually I need a city up here. I'm going to make these cities angry if I move these units off of them. So maybe I'll produce more units. I need another scout to look up north. I'm going to reroute at least this vulture back this way. '95, 94, 75. Okay. And I'll bring this other vulture back up north. So this is where it takes, it's finicky here, right? So I did very rapid expansion in the early game, which has put me in a pretty good position. But I have to figure out how to manage my economy during this phase. So this is where it gets tricky for sure. This is going to work scientists, so it will produce more science. Okay, now I have access to iron. Iron is not really super handy for me right now, but it will give this city good production. Once the granary is done, this city should make a ziggurat. And I'm going to have those two workers chop that tree. Actually, I'll do it all in one turn. Okay, the Confucianism has been founded. So one of the AI built the Oracle and then probably used the Oracle for Code of Laws. Because you see, Code of Laws comes right after Priesthood. And so when they build the Oracle, often they look to see what's the most expensive free technology that I can get. And if you have Priesthood, your most expensive technology that is available to you is almost always Code of Laws. So sometimes the AI will take this unless they have another tech that's of a higher priority for them. And the Oracle Rush is a strong strategy for a human player as well. It tends to be good for a more peaceful game. This is not one of those. I'll take City Attack again. I'll leave him there. 97. 86. I just like tearing down barbarian cities. It might actually be strategically better for me to leave that city the way it is, because it's going to be annoying for Darius, but it's okay. The one bad thing about my position right now is that I don't have access to any luxury wonders or any luxury resources. So my city's growth is restricted by happiness. If I had access to luxuries, I would be able to grow the cities larger. But unfortunately, that's not going to be an option for me unless I get some luxury resources connected as quickly as I can. Wine requires monarchy, which I don't have. Silver and gold are probably the best options. So I should scout over here, and I should scout up here. And I've got a scout around here somewhere. I'll have them fortify. Just kind of hang out there. I'll have them fortify as well. And I'll chop that forest to speed up the granary a little bit. Notice the distance from the capital determines the maintenance cost of cities. So this one's maintenance is not especially high, but the maintenance of this one over here is significantly higher. The ziggurat made a big difference, but it's still quite high. Okay, at 30% science, Code of Laws in 21 turns. This is something I need to change relatively soon. Yashbalak is not very happy with me. Okay, I think this is the best I can do for the library. I need to get that library out quickly. Once it stops being angry with me, I can grow it one more size. I'm going to start a road heading north. Okay. Hinduism spreading in my lands is a good thing. It will add a little bit of happiness for my cities that gain this religion, if it's my state religion. And it will make me friendlier with Roosevelt and de Gaulle, who are both near the top of the scoreboard. It's good to have strong friends. Even though this does lose a production turn because of the anarchy turn, it's okay. It's not that big a deal. Let's see. Good. Karakoram was happiness constricted. So Karakoram getting a religion is very strong. It has no trade routes. That's kind of strange. Oh, I see. I think I realized why. I need sailing for trade on rivers. There's nothing he wants for it. Let's see if anyone down here has sailing and will trade me for it. Nothing. They've all caught up in tech. Okay, that's the same person. Yeah, they've all caught up to me in technology, so I'm going to need to research sailing myself. Caesar has an archer up here. I imagine it's been killing barbarians. That's why it's slightly injured. Okay, this vulture here should easily win this fight. I'm not really that worried about it. So that's it for this one. We sort of talked about the changes that I made to the interface and some of my future plans and the current problem, which the current problem is my economy. I'm hoping to fix that soon with libraries and a religion for some extra happiness in cities. Actually, I see Buddhism has spread to 2 of my other cities. So going Buddhism would give me more happiness overall. But the diplomatic situation with the Hindus being on top of the board over here says that Hinduism is the smarter switch. Because the longer I stay Hinduism, the more these 2 nations will like me. This does mean that Pakal is going to be unhappy with me because he's the founder of a religion that I'm not a member of. So this border, or this somewhat of a border, is going to get pretty tense. However, I do have de Gaulle. He took my horses. I do have de Gaulle as a neighbor, so being friendly with him will be pretty handy. So let's see how this relationship turns out in the long run. Maybe I can get de Gaulle to give me money after I get currency, or after he gets currency. Let's see. Okay, I can build the temple for happiness. It's not a terrible thing to do, but it's not something that I really want to do. And I could speed this up by converting hammers into research. I'll finish this turn in the next video. I'll see you then.